for people that were here late or don't get into the class on time so that they can see what we did and go back over it. So I'm going to encourage you guys to keep your video muted so you guys don't have to have your face on there. It's okay that your names are up there, but if you don't want your face on there, make sure you don't do that. So let's see, James, I have to add you back to the class. But so what we're going to do is we're going to start with that survey every week, just to kind of see how you're feeling. It's funny to me that it's noon and the most answered feeling is I'm tired. How are you guys still tired? It's noon. Wake up. Also, there's a good amount of you that are feeling silly as well. Congrats on a few people also got new jobs. So if you got a new summer job, that's awesome. Good for you. Keep busy, make some money. Can't go wrong there. So what we're going to do is you should be on the Nearpod. We're going to get started there. I'm going to add James to the class real quick, and then I'll get going. But in there, I asked you a question that what would you do what does your body do if it gets cold? Okay. A lot of you guys have been cold before, so I'm sure you know. So you start to shiver is a good one. You get goosebumps. That's good too. Those are things that your body does do. So that helps you try to thermoregulate. So Levi, good use of some science vocab. If you break down that word, thermo means heat, regulate means to adjust or regulate. Well, you know what regulate means. So yeah, good. So all that does is that it's trying to get you involved, get your body heat back up. So I'm going to talk about what this means to what we're doing here in a second. So I'm going to share my teacher's notes with your screen. Okay, so you should have this. All right, this is what it looks like. All right, so we're going to be starting with homeostasis. You should have these notes up. As we go through the lesson today, we will fill these in, and we will turn them in when we're done. Other than that, let's see. Lost the Nearpod. There it goes. Other than that, you should be on the Nearpod. Okay. So good answers, shivering, thermoregulation. That's what I like to see. All right, so we are going to talk about the cellular processes today. So cellular process. So what that is things that your cells do in order to get things done. So the processes that your cells go through in order for your body to function. Okay, so we're going to start with homeostasis. Homeostasis. Homeo means the same. Stasis is like a status or a state of being. So it's the same being is what homeostasis is. This is a process that occurs in all living things. All organ systems work together to achieve this. So this is like your basic regular life. This is where things are normal. All right. So you are constantly battling to stay in homeostasis, whether it's in your life, like mentally and physically, or if it's your body actually doing it itself. So if something changes in your life, you adapt in order to bring it back to normal. Okay. So, for example, if you had your own apartment, right, and the heat goes out, what you do is you can contact your landlord to try to fix it, and so that your heat gets back to normal. Or you can put on clothes and blankets and things to try to bring your own body heat back up to homeostasis, the regular place of being. Or you can think of it like a thermostat. Right now it's hot out, so if you have the air conditioning on, you have a thermostat in your apartment or house. If you watch it, if the temperature gets above a certain level, then the air conditioning will kick on until that level drops again, and it'll kick off. So that's what homeostasis is. It's balancing to maintain an internal environment despite changes that happen externally. So this happens on a cellular level. This is what you do daily. If you get in a fight with your best friend, you guys talk about it to try to bring things back to normal. So homeostasis is a term that applies to cells, and it can also, if you think about it, to your life itself. So that's what homeostasis means. So in your notes, okay, homeostasis should go there. So your definition should go in homeostasis. Where did it go? I lost that page. Shoot. So the process by which your cells respond to external changes to maintain internal conditions, and at a livable level is what homeostasis is.
I'm confused on what I'm supposed to write.
So let's see. On the Nearpod, where it says definition, it says the ability of an organism to maintain its internal environment despite changes to the external environment. That should go here. So based on the slide that I'm on, use that information to fill in your notes. So that we've covered the first one already. We're gonna, on the next slide, we're gonna talk about the next part. Okay, so the definition is the ability or process by which cells respond to external changes to maintain internal conditions or an environment. So you should write down something like this, or you can copy it straight from the slide. All right, so homeostasis is maintained on an individual level by semi-permeable membranes surrounding the cell called a plasma membrane. Okay, so it is maintained by a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, so it's semi-permeable membrane. All right, so your notes should look like this. So homeostasis is maintained by semi-permeable. Semi means partially. So that's a semi is a part. If you have a word that has semi in it, then it is partial. Permeable means it allows liquids or gases to pass through it. That's what it means by a semi-permeable membrane. All right, this membrane is made of a thin layer of long chain phospholipids. So phospholipids. Phospholipids is a lipid, which is a fat attached to a phosphorus atom. Lipids are fats. So that's lipids go here. Are fats in the plasma. I spelled that wrong. Are fats, and the plasma membrane is a semi-water repellent. That means it sometimes repels water and it sometimes doesn't. So that's what it means by semi-repellent. So if you're looking at my screen, you should be here so far. This first piece right there. We're going to talk about diffusion up next. Diffusion is molecules move across a cell membrane. This is called diffusion. So you can put that there. And molecules move across a membrane. So remember we talked about last time cell membranes. Your cells have membranes. This is when water moves across those membranes, or not necessarily just water. It's any sort of molecule can move across those membranes. It's called diffusion. It diffuses into the cell. So it says it diffuses from an area of high concentration to low concentration, right? Concentration, if you think about it, if you ever read like a orange juice label or lemonade label, it'll say not from concentrate or from concentrate. It's from something that's tightly packed together. So if it's from concentrate, it's from like a powder you mix together, like Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid is a concentrated powder that when you mix it with water, it dissolves into a drink. You can have a high concentration of Kool-Aid if you take a whole packet and dissolve it in 1 glass of water. That's high concentration. It's like the taste is really sharp in your mouth. But if you take that 1 packet and dissolve it in, say, 5 gallons of water, all right, you don't have enough powder to make it taste right. So it's going to taste watered down. All right, that's a low concentration. So a high concentration, let me change my font here, is when there are a lot of molecules in one area. And then the low concentration is the opposite. So I'm just going to copy paste. When there are few molecules in an area, make this particles. This can also happen with bigger things than molecules. All right, so high concentration. There's a lot of stuff around. There's a tightly packed together particles, molecules in one area. Low concentration is when there's not a lot. So if you're looking at that picture of on the Nearpod, why is it like trying to highlight everything on my? So here, they're inside that cell. You see all those tiny red dots? That's a high concentration. Outside is low concentration. The cells on the inside will fuse outside so that it's equal concentration on both sides. So that's the process of homeostasis. Homeostasis is where everything's equal. Everything's chill. It's where it wants to be. So this is where it'll diffuse, come out of the cell so that there's equal parts of those particles on both sides of the membrane. So the cell can suck things in and it can push things out. So that's how diffusion works. Okay. Osmosis is a special kind of diffusion that only works with water. So it only works with water. So that goes in the blank. So osmosis is a diffusion of water across a membrane. So again, if you look at this cell here, there's an equal concentration of molecules on both sides. It looks like there's about equal. So when there's not, the cell can increase or decrease the amount of particles on the inside or outside, which can make the cell expand or it can make the cell contract and squish. So it's the diffusion of water across the cell membrane. All right, so on this picture, draw an arrow which the purple particles will diffuse. So you have two different gradients. You have a high concentration on one side and a low concentration on the other. So what I want you to do is use this and draw an arrow for which way these things will diffuse. So the particles, and this is the membrane here down the center. All right, so if this is the membrane, I'll draw a little squiggle. If this is the membrane, all right, what direction is the purple going to diffuse? Is it going to diffuse from left to right, or is it going to diffuse from right to left? Draw that and submit it. Good, good. All right. Ariana, good. Marcus, good. Kifana, good. Levi, good. James, good. All right. So if you're watching, you have a high concentration on this side. There's more particles on this side than there are on this side. So you only 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So this is low concentration. So always remember it goes from high concentration to low concentration. It always moves from high to low concentration because it wants there to be equal amounts on both sides. So the high concentration side will share to the low concentration side. All right, so that's kind of what I was looking for. Good job. So when this happens, the water on the outside can move into the cell. The water can equally transmit in and out of the cell in the middle here, or it can move from the swelled up cell and move it out so the cell will shrink. Okay, so these are 3 different types of osmosis. Okay, so first type is isotonic. Isotonic is the first type. So this is whose solute concentration is equal to the so when the concentration is equal inside the cell and on the outside of the cell. So that means this is where it's equal. Iso is equal. All right. So you should have this. All right. When the concentration of the solution is equal inside and outside the cell is isotonic.
Can you scroll up one? I didn't get all of the thank you.
Go ahead and save myself some time. So they're going to start the same way. So that means when the blood cells are what the example I'm going to use, when there's an equal concentration on both sides, things can flow in and out of the cell equally, and the cell keeps a nice shape. Hypotonic, all right, is when there's a lower concentration inside, I'm sorry, lower concentration out inside the cell than there is outside. So that means water or things will diffuse into the cell. Okay, so things so the solute concentration inside the cell is higher. So when the concentration of the solution inside the cell is higher than outside, that causes swelling. So if you think of I like when how I remember these, I think of the O. Hypo kind of sounds like hippo. Hippos are fat, they swell. Okay, it doesn't have to make sense as long as you can remember that hypo sounds like hippo and hippos are fat. So when the cells swell to be fat, that's hypotonic. Okay, when hypotonic blood cells happen, the blood cell explodes. See if I can find a good picture for you. So here you have a hypotonic, and what happens is it can lyse or explode when this happens. So what you can do, how this is an applicable thing to you, is if you ever get blood on a shirt or anything like that, what you can do is, I don't know if you've heard, to soak it in cold water. Okay, what that does is you have a warm red blood cell and you have a cold water on the outside. Since it wants to create an equal temperature inside and outside the cell, it'll suck in water and become hypotonic and explode. So that'll pop the red blood cell that's on your clothing, and then it'll flake off really easy. So if you soak like blood in cold water, you can get out the stain pretty good without having to do anything. But if you let it set, you let the cell dry and die out, then it won't be able to perform this function of homeostasis and osmosis, where it takes in water and then it explodes. So this is actually a practical use of science. Okay, finally, you have hypertonic. I like to think if someone is hyper, they burn a lot of energy and are skinny. So these are when the cells are skinny. All right, they look like this. So this is when the higher concentration is solute than the solution. So that means there is a higher concentration outside the cell than inside, and it causes the inside of the cell to move to the outside. Where'd it go? Okay, so this causes shrinking. So that means the inside of the cell fused outside and caused the cell to shrink up and shrivel. So that's what hypertonic is. It causes the cell to shrivel up. So the concentration outside is higher than inside. Okay. Anyone need anything on diffusion? Yes, no, maybe? All right, so we're going to look back at this picture. All right, so which one is isotonic, which one is hypertonic, and which one is hypotonic? All right, so think about which way the diffusion is happening and what the end result is, and then label it. Okay, so I'll label the first one for you. Okay, just so you understand what to do. So you can just put ISO right there. Or if you want, if you hit this text button here, all right, you can type in isotonic and move it there. Yeah. So you see I put it right there if you want to type it in too. So you can type it or draw it. So the first middle one is isotonic because they're the same conditions and same concentration inside and outside of the cell. So remember what I taught, look at your notes and use that to help you answer this question. Which one's hypertonic and which one's hypotonic? All right. Thank you, Ariana. All right, Demare, excellent. You got it right. Ariana, good save. Elijah, good. So far, everyone's got it right. Remember, I like to think of it, if you're hyper, you move around a lot, you burn a lot of energy, and you're skinny. If hypo sounds like hippo, all right, the O is big, so that's when the cell swells up. There's a little hint. Ivana, good. Marcus, good job. All right. Here's the correct answer. All right, hypotonics on top, this cell swells up. Isotonics in the middle, and then hypertonic is on the bottom, where the water moves out of the cell and causes the cell to shrink. So this is the right answer. Good job. All right. All right. So we got about 5 minutes left. So this is where we'll stop today. So I'm going to make a note. Start here. All right. So tomorrow we're going to finish up these notes tomorrow. So it should automatically save. See up here at the top, it says all changes saved in Drive. I know tomorrow, Tuesdays and Thursdays are normally meant for work days, but I'm going to switch that around because I don't think our assignment will make much sense if we don't finish this. So we're going to finish this tomorrow, and then we're going to move on to the assignment, which we'll do on Wednesday. Okay. So we'll pick up here tomorrow. You don't need to turn it in. Just make sure you have this all filled in up until permeability. Does anyone have any questions or anything I need to go over before we go? Yes, I can go back up to the top. Okay.
That's all we're supposed to do is just homeostasis and diffusion.
Yeah, we'll finish the rest up tomorrow.
All right.
All right. So. All right. So anyone have any other questions before I close out? Okay. All right. You guys are free to go. If you need any questions or any help, stay on and I can help you out. If not, just you don't have to submit anything. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.